Since February 2005, railroad police officer Howard Morgan has been in a battle for his life.
My husband, Howard Morgan, was shot 28 times by 4 white police officers. They said that he was going down a one-way street with his lights off.
Rosalind Morgan says what should have been a routine traffic stop turned into a nightmare for her family.
He identified himself as a police officer. They did not believe him. They shoved him down to the ground, removed his weapon from him. The shooting began at that point.
Doctors at Mount Sinai Hospital say Officer Morgan was shot 21 times in the back parts of his body and 7 times in the front. He underwent multiple surgeries to correct his injuries. Craig Futterman, attorney and clinical professor at the University of Chicago Law School, says that police brutality cases are common in Chicago. Cases like Howard Morgan's are rare.
On average, over the years, people have brought about 2,000 or so complaints of police brutality each and every year.
Futterman says this is just a small fraction of those who have been harassed by the police. After spending months in the hospital chained to his bed, Officer Morgan was sent to a Cook County Corrections Facility and was charged with attempted murder.
If double jeopardy doesn't mean anything and your constitutional rights are violated, then what does America stand for?
Hey everyone. So what you guys just witnessed was yet another story. Yet another story of a black man being murdered, or there's an attempt to murder him, and then the law is somehow turned around to make him the offender. I will read you a portion of the news article from the Huffington Post, and this is dated April 3rd, 2012. And the article, and I'm not going to start at the beginning because the beginning pretty much just tells you what you've already seen. But the article goes on to say that according to police, Morgan opened fire with his service weapon when officers tried to arrest him, which caused him to be shot 28 times. After being left for dead, he survived and was then charged with attempted murder of the 4 white officers who brutalized him. Morgan was found not guilty on 3 counts, including discharging his weapon. The same jury that cleared him of opening fire on the officers, however, deadlocked on a charge of attempted murder, and another jury found him guilty in January. That jury was not allowed to hear that Morgan had been acquitted of the other charges. Howard Morgan was sentenced today to 40 years in prison, essentially a life sentence. What I am feeling right now is that even in a court of law, you cannot, as a black person, and particularly a black male, get a fair trial. If he had not survived those 28 shots, you know what would have happened? Someone would have came along, maybe the following day or God only knows how long after, discovered his body, and then that would have been it. No one would have known that 4 white police officers had murdered that man had he not survived. And then after he survived, of course, they had to come up with a story. They had to concoct a story that would make him the aggressor. And what did I say in the last video that I had? The one with Antonio Cross, the guy in Chicago that was with Rekia Boyd when she was murdered. I said, had that guy had a gun on him, they would have made an excuse as to why they shot him in the first place, even though they hadn't seen the gun. It's going to take a major coup for major changes to actually happen in this country. Other than that, all of your protests will be ignored. All of your cries for justice will be ignored. All of your petitions, none of it will change anything. It seems as if most human beings don't understand the need for change until something radical happens. And then all of a sudden, they're all about changing. They're all about listening. But when they could have done it without all of the chaos, it wasn't really on their priority list. I don't get it, but I see that that's just the way it is. So when I say a major coup, I mean major, nationwide, worldwide uprising. That's the only thing that really will stop all the madness going on. I'm not saying that it will stop racism. I'm not saying that there will be no more prejudices. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that incidents like this, where a black man who really should not be sent to jail for being damn near murdered, instead of compensated for what happened to him, those incidents, they will think twice and even 3 times before they even attempt to do such ridiculousness. Because they would not want another travesty happening in this country and possibly worldwide. But until this actually happens, they are okay, and they being the powers that be, they're okay with whatever. Protest all day, all night. They could care less. It's not affecting them. I saw people protesting in front of the police station for Ray Marley Graham. And one police officer was actually texting while they were protesting. They aren't afraid of you. They aren't intimidated. You know why? Because putting up a sign, holding a sign, and crying for justice is nothing compared to what needs to be done in this country to make major changes actually occur. And I don't mean tearing up your own neighborhoods, tearing down your own stores, inconveniencing your community. That's not what I'm talking about. When the shoe is on the other foot and people like me speak against it, we are called race baiters. Isn't that ironic? That's what I call retarded cracker logic. Only crackers rationalize that way. Well, if it's happening to black people, they must have done something to provoke it. There's no way in hell a police officer would ever shoot an unarmed black teen, an unarmed black man, an unarmed black woman for no reason. There's something missing from this story. But turn that shit around and let it be one of us who's doing the shooting. Well, they're savages. What are they doing with guns anyways? I didn't know niggers owned guns. Why isn't there a federal law that says if you have color, if you are black, automatically you are disqualified from owning a gun? Why isn't there a law like that? God damn it, put it on the ballot. I'll sign it today. You guys see where I'm going with this. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. But we have to stand up for ourselves. I want to send a clear message, not only to Chicago PD, but to every police department in the United States. Killing innocent black people is not what will continue to go on in this country. You will be stopped. We do it to animals. And let me say this. A wild animal does what a wild animal is supposed to do, and that is protect its territory. But we are dealing with entities, individuals who claim to be human beings. And with that comes a certain level of intellect and a certain level of rationalizing, a certain level of common sense. But I am being shown that we're not dealing with human beings for the most part, that we are dealing with wild animals. And because we are dealing with wild animals have to be put down when they attack.